Hello, welcome to my podcast. I want to talk about karma. I want to talk about fragmented karma. Fragmented karma is when we have karma with someone and we do it in parts. That's all it means. But it's good for you to understand this because sometimes the karma can't be burned just in one set of time or space. It ends up being fragmented. Sometimes it'll also be fragmented because something gets in the way. So some other free will activity of somebody else might get in the way, or we might have something come up that needs to take our attention, and then the karma won't be burned. Then we will come back together with that person in some way, and the karma is burned. And you're doing a good job of this. And then there's a stop, and you might be either separated them or distanced from them, and your relationship's not in a place where you can burn any more karma. Life goes on, we do things, and then later they come back in or you come back and burn it. The karma will eventually be burned, and this is a good way to get it done in one life. These are the relationships that come in and go out. I think that's how you'll know that you're burning more karma with them, because sometimes you'll think, oh, well, I've finished doing that and whatever, and it's all over. And then later on they come back in or you go back in, and then there's a bit more to do, and then you do the work around that. It's a good thing to burn the karma. It's also a very good thing to let someone else burn their karma. That's really important, to let other people burn the karma with you so that they can make the balance and make the peace. And it also does make balance, and that's what it's all about, to rebalance it, because it can be karmic debt or it could be karmic care where they looked after you, now you look after them. It could be financial karma, and I'll do a podcast on that where they gave you some money, now you owe them some money. You can have different sorts of karma that you need to pay back. I think we will generally know that we were supposed to do it. We'll have like a feeling of duty, or you're bound to do it, or even if it's inconvenient and you don't want to do it, you're actually bound to do it. Sometimes the karma can be very big. For example, I had a friend of mine when I was young, and she looked after her brother and took care of him, and he was an older person, but she still looked after him and took care of him. Then unfortunately the brother was involved in a car accident with the wife, and one of the boys was left behind. They had one child. So karmically, he paid the first bit of karma to her brother, but then the second bit was that she took on her nephew as her son, and she brought him up, and then they had 4 sons. So she was doing the fragmented karma because she had obviously decided to do some karmic return to him. Couldn't do it all in one hit and just did it separately. That was a very big karma that she paid back to bring him up, because she wasn't such a well person. And then her husband also died, so she landed up with these 4 boys. I think it was very good karma that she burned. She was a very beautiful lady, and I think that she had decided to help her brother on this side and then help him on the other side. That's where the karma can also get fragmented, when you're doing the karma for someone on this side. These situations where someone dies and you're left to take care of their family, or even take care of their children now while they're on the other side. It's like the karma's being burnt in both dimensions. Don't be frightened of fragmented karma in any way. It's a good thing. It's just not something you can particularly control. You can't just decide, oh, I'm going to do it all now down here as a human, because it won't work. It will be staged and it will be in different times. Having said that, you can still refuse to do the karma. You might not want to do the certain things you're supposed to and not do it. Often in the same life, it can come again, maybe in a different shape and form, but it's still burning the karma for that person. And then you basically make the decision whether you want to do that or not. You might also see the karma being burned around you in your family. Families are great places to burn karma, because we've often been with these people before. And you will see the interactions with different people doing different karmic burning between maybe the father and the son, or the mother and the daughter, or the daughter and the other daughter, or the auntie. There can be lots of little fragmented karmic things happening within one family. where people are paying their dues back to one another in the different sorts of relationships. Karma is an important thing to burn. It's also an important thing to do from a spiritual point of view, because it balances things out and it doesn't get carried over. Because if we've got a lot of karmic things that we were supposed to do and don't do it this life, it just carries to the next life, and you just get more and more and more and more of them. So it's actually better that you do it in this life and settle it. When I say settle it, I mean do the best you can with it, pay it back as the best you can. You always have free will with this, even with karma, even though you might have set it up before you came down to do it. When you come down as a human, you always have free will to do it or not do it. Never feel that you are forced to do it. This is your own choice and actually your own healing or your own outcome. I'm happy to pay the karma back because I understand what it's about and I know why I have to do it. It will have that feeling always of taking care of somebody else on lots of different levels, or being there for somebody as a support. It can be a support physically. You help them with moving their house, and maybe you give them some help in the garden or whatever. You might take care of their pets when they go away. It can be small karma, but it's still karma. It doesn't make it any the less important if they need the help and you give the help back. Some relationships might look a little bit one-sided, particularly from a karmic point of view. For example, if I owe my friend a lot of karma from last life, I might be seen to be doing a lot in that relationship, and perhaps they're not doing as much back, but that's actually how it's supposed to be karmically, because I actually owe more, so I need to pay more in that spiritual sense back to them. You'll see this happening, and don't be critical of those relationships, because it can look from an outsider's point of view, well, you do too much for them and you're always doing stuff for them, blah, blah, blah. But actually, you're actually burning the karma. And so that person's actually doing good work. They're not doing too much. They were supposed to do it this life. They owe that person. So it'll be a little bit more than you would expect, but it's supposed to be done. And that's the difference between burning karma and being used. Being used has a completely different feeling. If you are burning good karma with someone, you will feel a satisfaction and a happiness to do it. If you're being used, you will feel grumpy and resentful because you've got conned again and you're looking after their house and watering their plants and you didn't think it was really up to you this time. That's a completely different dynamic. So have a look at your feeling when you're doing the task for them, and that will tell you if it's karma or if you're being used. I think it's quite hard for people to tell the difference initially, but once you focus, you'll figure it out. Boning the fragmented karma is what we are often doing down here, so have a look around and I think you'll see it. And it is actually a good time. I found it when they tell me this about the karma, I was like, oh wow, that's really interesting. And that for me made sense of some of the in-out relationships that I'd had, where for a while they were doing something for me, but then I was doing something for them, and then I was doing something for them, and then I was doing something for them. That made sense to me. And I really want to balance my karma in this life. I want to fix up and do the things that were meant to be done that I have to pay back. And I'm really happy to do that, because remember that when karma is being balanced, someone is giving to somebody else or fixing something or resolving something. So it only has a good purpose. It only has a good outcome. Have a look around. You'll see it happening now.